Arsenій Yacenyuk, former Prime Minister of Ukraine between 2014 and 2016, and a regular on this program. Arsenій, good to speak to you.
Great to see you, Matt. How are you?
I'm very well.
I was told that you was in Kiev.
I was in Kiev, yes. I was in Kiev, but I left a few days ago, I'm sad to say.
Oh,
and it was wonderful to be back.
We didn't have a chance to meet each other in person. But
I know. I think we tried to get hold of you, but we couldn't reach you. But anyway, next time, I'll be there again soon, I'm sure. So let's talk about this bridge, first of all. How important is this attack? I'm assuming it was done by your people.
Well, here is the story. In 2001 and 2003, I used to be the Minister for Economy in Crimea. And I was one of the strongest opponents against this so-called bridge. This was a very important, I would say, action and idea launched, but even then, Russian authorities trying actually to pursue Ukrainians to authorize the construction of this bridge. And I was sharply criticized by then Speaker of the House. He was from the Communist Party. Anyway. This is not just the vanity project for Russia. This is both the only route to supply Russian military, and this is a great symbolism that Ukraine, I hope, or allegedly, this is the Ukrainian security forces. Ukraine didn't recognize this, but the media reported that maybe Ukrainian security service has something to do with this, and that actually this symbol of Russian imperialism is actually undermined and blown up.
So the Russians are saying this morning that the bridge can be fixed and they can put up an alternative bridge. And there is anyway a route from the Crimean Peninsula into the southern areas of Ukraine that they've occupied, where they are at the moment trying to repel your counteroffensive. Can the bridge be fixed that easily, or is that disinformation coming from the Russians?
Well, who knows? Definitely, the Russians trying to sell this narrative to their audience, saying that, look, nothing dangerous has happened, and they even said that this are Ukrainian vandals. God knows what vandals are really about. If these are Ukrainians, so these are Ukrainian forces, not vandals. Vandals, culprits, and military and war criminals, that's Russians. In this particular case, Matt, it doesn't matter the timetable and their ability to fix the bridge. What really matters is that Moscow, this is the flagship, the Russian flagship, has gone. And another Moscow, which is the symbol of the Russian Empire, which is the bridge in Kerch, has gone too. Period. Okay.
Let's just listen to what President Zelensky said yesterday, urging the West to take more action against Russia following Vladimir Putin's, rather loose talk on nukes. Listen to this.
They don't know if they will use or they will not use. I think that it's dangerous even to speak about it. That I said, you have to do preventive kicks, not attacks. We are not terrorists, and we don't fight on another territory.
Okay, that was a brief clip there, President Zelensky, basically saying that the Russian government, the Kremlin, Vladimir Putin, is preparing his people for a nuclear attack against Ukraine, or perhaps another target, as a way of defending the Russian Federation. And we in Ukraine and outside Ukraine in the West should be taking similar measures of preparation. Do you agree with the President?
Well, 7 months ago, when Putin urged and ordered his nuclear forces to be on high alert, I said, look, this is the saber rattling. This time, I believe that Putin is really considering an option to resort to the nukes. And here is the reason why.
Why? Yes, you tell us.
Yeah. The rat cornered himself. I mean, personally, Putin, he has cornered himself. There is no off-ramp for Putin. His military is on the retreat. He is losing the ground. Even the fact that he decided to launch the partial mobilization won't fix the problem. They are out of advanced military equipment. They started to use Soviet-style outdated armored vehicles and tanks. Their military mood is on the down escalator. Even more, Washington Post actually reported that there is a huge discontent in the inner circle of President Putin, and that's obvious. One can say that he is not under the sharp criticism, not yet, because people in Russia started to talk about all these fallouts that happened in Ukraine. And in the end, who is to be responsible for this? People will put the blame on Putin, on this war criminal. So he's in a dire strait. He's in a very, very complicated position. And for him, this is both an issue of political existence and physical survival.
But to put it bluntly, Arsenій, your success, the Ukrainian success on the battlefield, which has been even partially acknowledged by the Russians themselves, makes the likelihood of Putin using something more extreme, like a nuclear weapon, greater, doesn't it?
Well, he wants to save himself. As once again, as he's losing the ground, he's in the retreat. So he can resort to nuclear tactical weapon. And we have to be really cautious about this. But there is no other option rather than to attack and to reclaim the territories that belongs to Ukraine.
So you think the more success you have, the more you drive him into the corner, the more likely such an attack is?
The more justice we reestablish, the more international order we reestablish, the more sovereign soil of Ukraine we reclaim, the better position, the global position of the free world will be. And this will mitigate and actually downgrade the chances for Putin to use a tactical nuclear weapon. I believe so.
But President Zelensky, in another clip of the same interview, was talking about the West taking preemptive action, some preemptive strike, perhaps against a nuclear facility. That's not going to happen, is it? Because that would be the West triggering the possibility of World War III. And Biden has made it very clear that he doesn't want to go down that road.
Yeah. Look, as far as we know, the U.S. administration was very clear, actually reaching out to Kremlin and spelling out what kind of consequences Russia is to face in case if they resort to nukes. And I believe that everyone in this world, including, once again, China and India, and I want to be very clear about the role of both China and India in preventing Russia to use nuclear weapon. They have to be vocal and they have to reach out personally to Putin, actually to alarm him personally about not just consequences for Russia, but for him as a physical being.
Indeed.
Because I can't even call him a normal human being.
So the key to this, is the Chinese. And I wonder whether the reason why Ukraine didn't vote in the United Nations Human Rights Council condemning the treatment of Uyghurs in China is that your government wants to keep the Chinese sweet and on side if it gets, if this war reaches the next level.
Look, I am upset with this decision not to support this resolution, because I'm not sure that this is the right way to be on the same page with Chinese. Okay?
So you think your government should have joined those condemning the treatment of Uyghurs in China?
If I were the prime minister, I would order my foreign minister to support this resolution.
And you're saying it wasn't done because you don't want to upset the Chinese because you might need them?
Oh, well, I'm not sure that we can interlink these two separate things. It's in the interest of China not to have the third world war. China is more integrated in the global economy, in the global trade, and actually China's role is 10 times higher than the Russian one. So China needs stability too. So it's in the interest of Russia to align China with the Western world, but not with Russia.
And also, the one thing that we forget in the West is we kind of assume that it's the West, it's the world against Russia. But actually, there are more nations now that are prepared to kind of give Russia the benefit of the doubt. I mean, we even saw Saudi Arabia siding with Russia in OPEC in order to limit the production of oil. So actually, the coalition against Putin may be strong, but it is shrinking.
Well, the OPEC decision to cut off the supply of crude oil by 2 million barrels per day, well, definitely is not the right one. And this will definitely boost the Russian budget and support the Russian revenues in the short run. In the long run, I believe that this won't any way help Russia. This is a temporary solution. Well, one can say that due to the fact that the global consumption have dropped substantially, the OPEC decided to decrease the amount of oil. Well, frankly, it's a crap, okay? This decision can harm in the short run both the US, the global economy, and Ukraine. But in the long run, I do believe that due to the energy efficiency, and due to the stuff that already made by the European Union, we will overcome this.
Okay. On that note, Arsenій Яценюk, former Prime Minister of Ukraine, thank you very much indeed for joining us